A man needs something to aspire to.
Police believe she was after a nearly $2 million life insurance payout.
$2 million. A nice chunk of change, but not worth it. Worth what? The soul, George. My wife is remarkable. Light of my life.
I have been paying for everything forever, and I've decided that it's gonna stop.
Bang, bang.
Take pride in being a man who's important to society.
You're a worthless donkey roasting in the twilight of your life.
I am trying to cultivate a positive headspace until the audition.
Wow. Wow.
I think George is trying to kill me. Do you really think George is smart enough to kill you and get away with it?
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Thank you. I really needed that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Saving a Seat. We're saving you a seat. And for the movie, the trailer you just saw, Trigger Happy. That's our first movie of our show today. And I am Joe Compton.
I'm Bryan Tann. This is a film that's very... It's like a creepy utopian society where, from what I'm seeing, the husbands go to these... They work these dead-end horrible jobs so the wives can pretty much have the lifestyles that they want. But you gotta have a gun to have health insurance. And when this everyday go nowhere guy just gets sick of it.
This is written by Daniel Moya, who wrote my favorite film of 2021, which was 18 and a half. So I was real excited to see this, actually, because I think Daniel has a style and a cadence that is really interesting, and it's very forefront here. But that being said, there's a great opening sequence for me. But yeah, the foggy mirror shot, which I still don't understand how they did that. That's incredible that they had this great scene with the two of them where they're getting ready for their respective days, and there's just this foggy mirror. I was like, that is really cool. And then, of course, the blood in the sink, and which is again,
I really liked that though, because I used to think it was only me that would like floss their teeth and be spitting blood in the sink. I really did.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'm glad that you brought the writing was very well done. This dialogue, it still feels odd, but it's fun. It's like it's alternate reality, you know, and the 50s satire that comes with it, it just all comes together.
Yeah, there is an absurdity to this film that I think is very interesting, and it's not even cynical in a lot of ways. It's more sardonic. It's just more like you're used to hearing that kind of thing, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's not. There's no doubt there is a lot of sarcasm and cynicism in this film, but it is almost like everyday conversation in terms of it's not to punch up a line. It's not to make a point. It's just talking, you know, right. And I find that really fantastic that was kind of part of the cadence of this film.
Yeah. It feels once you get in within like the first 5 minutes, you're so immersed in this world that you're right. It has its place. And you're in it. You're absolutely in it. It feels very Truman Show-esque.
Yeah, that's a great apt comparison.
And Truman Show is one of my favorite films because of the setting.
Tyler Poole is a really good Truman in this movie, too. You know?
And I'll tell you, I really like the scenes of...
Annie Decker?
I like her scenes of her practicing her lines and going to her audition because it's so real and it's so fun. Even when I was doing West Side Story in high school, I remember bridge freezes before roads surface. bridge freezes before road surface. You know, I mean, but this movie is so fun. You kind of feel bad for having fun because it is very dark.
Yeah. There's a particular skydiving scene we could talk about, which I think production-wise, that might be the greatest death I've ever seen on a movie. Honestly,
that was the greatest just fall from a height. Like, I'll tell you what, I think the only thing that set that up, I think the only time I might have saw something that set up like that for a payoff was the first Deadpool, where he's like, no one's getting hurt, and it's just thud.
Yeah.
You know, what's bad is I have an acquaintance that she goes skydiving and she had a bad fall and, you know, had a lot of injuries. And I was just like, and that's why I will never skydive. People that jump out of planes are crazy.
And poor Gail. I wrote down when I was watching this, hey, Gail, awesome. It was Spicoli and witness protection. That is exactly how Gail reminded me. He reminded me of like a 40-year-old Spicoli.
Yeah, I can see it. I can absolutely see it.
The other thing about that is that it sets up. This is a cool thing about this movie that I think is underappreciated, probably underappreciated by me, and that is that scene in particular really sets up what we're about to experience at the end, which is chaotic and just incredible. Right. And because there's a certain something about that scene that has to do with Annie that I think, I don't want to spoil it, but with Annie that I think is, there's a resilience to that aspect of her character that really is effective toward the end. And I think it really matters. There is a lot here that is, it's like if David Lynch got a sense of humor. It's a dark comedy. It doesn't evade the key thing it's trying to say, and it doesn't apologize for it either. This movie has literally one person that I recognize, which is Christina Kirkman. She was she was on All That. She plays my favorite character in this movie. Gemma. I love Gemma. You know what? I thought she looked familiar. It was weird to me because it's like, holy crap! Because I haven't watched All That in a crow's age. It's been a long time. Well, Tyler also was Boone on Scrubs. So if you remember the later, I don't think I watched Scrubs. Yeah, and then Matt Love, who is the bigger gentleman in this film, he was Meatball on Heart of Dixie. So these folks have all been doing stuff, mostly TV stuff. But these are a lot of people that you're like, oh, that's that guy that's that person that was in that thing that I watched. Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, this movie is sharp. It's snappy. It is dark, and it is really interesting and fun. And when you sit down and you at the end of it and you exhale, you go, "What the fuck did I just watch?" But wow, was that amazing that I watched. And you feel bad for not being disturbed by it because it's almost too, right? Yeah, it's literally a spoonful. You're almost cheering for the ending. Yeah, because each of these people are so dislikable. Mm-hmm. I mean, Gemma isn't very none of these lead characters are likable. Not even the shop guy. Not even the shop guy was. No. Oh my God, Kent is such an irritant. Except for when he opens up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only one I felt bad for was Gail. To be honest with you, Gail. I mean, I couldn't just because. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's only in one scene, so that's right. To be fair, but yeah, I really like a film that it's the protagonist, but that don't mean you got to root for him. Yeah. No. And then, we're adults now. We can hate the lead. It's hard to root for any of these characters, to be honest. It is really hard. And just when you think you're about to root for them, you're not. And that's the thing about this film that is special, and it's beautiful too. I mean, the production design on this film is just fierce. It is stellar. The colors, the shots, the everything designed around it has specific how the vacuum has a specific color. These have specific. The lotto ticket has a specific color and a specific style. The sponge. The most brilliant. I laughed at the opening sequence they showed the this is not a spoiler, so it doesn't matter. But in the opening sequence, they showed the lottery, the TV version of the lottery, where they're pulling the things out of it, and she takes the number and just throws it.
Just throws it. Yeah, they don't get set aside. It's just like, here it is, toss. You know what that opening kind of reminded me of is the narrator from Battle Royale.
Yeah,
that's who she reminded me of.
Yeah.
This film really brings together some of my favorite things of other sort of movies.
Yeah.
And it's like they take little bits here and there. It's kind of like when you're trying out a new recipe.
Yeah.
You're just putting bits of things that you know you like in it to make it come together. And it works.
Yeah.
I hate meeting new people.
So you got a name?
What's my name? Clem?
I'm actually half trained to be a doctor. You coming?
I think fantasy guy likes me. I've got this stepmom.
Who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? Who did you talk to?
Get out of there!
She keeps attacking me.
Stop ignoring the shrub! Who's that? Who's
No one!
I had to
give up your job? How are you gonna manage?
I'm finally claiming my power. That's personal growth. So technically, it's a good thing. Sociopathic tendencies aside, of course. I finally found my inner peace. Upside of selling my soul is I've stopped worrying about consequences. The downside is, I don't know when I'm heading for trouble.
Leave me out of this.
I'll split it 50-50. We'll have penthouses, Porsches.
So you decided to start a business, taking in slowly dying geriatrics, huh?
Boom, boom, boom.
Making so much noise.
All right, everybody.
Oh, man.
The trailer you just saw, Little Miss Sociopath.
Bad choices, best stories. If that is not real life, and that is what this movie is, it is bad choices making the best stories. Because if you think that the people in Trigger Happy are just awful people, Little Miss Sociopath says, here's my beer. Let me show you how awful I can be. All right. Little Miss Sociopath finds a young lady by the name of Clementine.
Played by Jenny Tran.
By the gorgeous, the talented, the amazing, the hilarious Jenny Tran.
Yeah, who you all would recognize.
Yes.
In a heartbeat.
Clementine is basically working at a job that she's not really that into, with a father and a stepmother who, like, the father is just trying to just constantly please the stepmother. And then when he passes on, not a spoiler, it's part of the story.
Yep.
It leaves Clementine and her stepmother. Clementine meets a dream guy who is the consummate bullshit artist.
I like to know so many of these guys in my life. It's
I have seen so many of these people in my life, and it's like, how did I ever deal? You know who he looks like? He reminds me of Jimmy from Shameless. And he is like, this guy is literally that guy that always told you a story and you knew it was bullshit.
Yeah.
You just knew. But you just kind of let it go because it's like, yeah, all right. If
there's a great scene in this movie, which is one of my favorite. It's actually probably my favorite scene, which is kind of going back and forth between personalities, because this is all about her personality, right?
Right.
What she feels inside and what she reveals on the outside. That's basically what Clementine is. But there's a great scene when she's talking with somebody else. And she's listing all the things that he said to her, and the guy's going, "You've really said that to her? You're an idiot." Where she calls him out, which I just loved. It was a really great scene. That was my favorite scene.
It really was. But I'll tell you what, I really appreciate. Now, once again, the music, the cadences of people's tone, the cadences of the words, the tone. It is so different from like the dark premise.
Yeah.
fraud, murder, not to mention a nosy neighbor.
Oh God, she was terrible.
She was awful.
Me.
This is another film that has lead characters that are completely and utterly unlikable.
Yeah.
There is like the only real likable people in this film are the victims.
Yeah, Bella strikes me as somebody who I really gravitated toward in the later part of this. Bella, that's the character, and of course Bella is the smart one who's figured it all out. But this is basically one scam on top of another scam on top of your conscience telling you whether you should go with this. The really, really great thing about this movie is that you see everybody's conscience in this film, right? Yeah. Other than the first few characters, her father, the doctor, and the mother-in-law. Those three characters really, they're window dressing for this film. Yeah. But all the characters after that, and the dream guy, you witness them going through moments of their morality tempering their thought process, right? Or them backing out because they just feel uncomfortable morally, or their conscience getting in their way, or they're overthinking something. That happens quite a bit in this movie, and I really love that was able to be expressed on screen, because that's a tough thing to express on screen. And yeah, the voiceover thing is a vehicle to do that, and we'll get into that, because everybody who knows me knows I hate voiceover exposition in film. But this is a different type of voiceover, so I was okay with it a little bit. This is kind of Fight Club-esque voiceover, where it's kind of like describing something that you're feeling, and you're not showing that on screen until after you've said that, right? Kind of thing. And so I like that aspect. I can't believe I just compared this movie to Fight Club, but
it kind of describes. It's kind of like it's almost like combining two different mediums. It's like combining reading with watching a movie.
Yeah.
In that regard. But also the fact that Jade Williams, who provides Clementine's voiceover, their voices are relatively similar, but they're different. And the way that I take that, the voiceover is her conscious thoughts that don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, she just has no feeling about it. It's just,
actually, I think it's the opposite. I think
you know what? You're right. You're right. The voiceover it's like how she knows she should feel, but it's not what she's displaying, because she's not. It's kind of like you know that you should feel a certain way. You know you shouldn't laugh at the dark joke, but you do it anyway.
The smart choice by the filmmaker was to stay with one perspective, right? To one POV, because, like I said, you see everybody's decision making in this film, which I think, like I said again, is the best thing about this film. Is I've never seen that before on screen. So it's very interesting to watch the dream guy say something and then realize she just caught him, or she goes, let's do this, and he goes, oh no, I can't do that, I can't cross that line, right?
But
you see everybody go through that in this film, and I think that's so it's really cool that we don't get 500 voiceovers in this movie.
Yeah, that would be bad. But I also like how the character development of how at first it's because of Dream Guy that she even starts to go down this path.
Right, yeah.
But then now she's the conductor of the train, and it's like, crap. He has no choice but to stay on board, because she's the only one that's going to put up with him.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I really love you want to know what the ending sort of feels like to me? Do you remember Neighbors with John Belushi and
totally does.
Dan Aykroyd?
Yeah, totally does.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
It truly feels like that to me. And it was fun. And I even remember watching Neighbors as way too young to be watching that film. And the ending kind of scaring me, because it was different.
Yeah.
It was not what I was used to. And that's really what this film does as well. Enjoy it. I like the character building. I like the character growth. And
I like the characters. I think
I like
Clementine, Bella, and Adam are very good. Those are all good characters. I think they're all
they're unlikable people, but they're great characters.
I wouldn't say that necessarily.
I mean,
Clementine's a little scary, but she's not unlikable, right?
As scary as she is it bad that it's kind of hot that she's that
A little
scary?
bit.
It's a little bad. But I also think that
okay, go ahead. Say what you can say.
I like how in the trailer it's like it makes a play on euthanasia, the funny side of euthanasia.
Yeah.
Which is wow.
All right. Can I tell you where this goes bad for me?
Where does it go bad?
This is really two movies, in my personal opinion. And I think that this movie had to make a choice. And I get why we needed the beginning. I get why we neted the dad is totally irrelevant in this entire thing.
He could have
died off. If we had started with, if we had started, he'd already been dead, and we were with the wicked stepmother at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It would have, I don't know, it might have cut about 10 minutes off this movie that I think was necessary to cut off, because once the catalyst of the stepmother is out of the picture, and I won't spoil her how she gets out of the picture, but once she's out of the picture, it turns into a whole different movie, and then it goes into the movie that it really is at the very end, right? For the last 40 minutes or 35 minutes or whatever.
I agree.
It's weird. It's just strange how they get from that point to that point to that point, and it feels like we're watching three different movies, right? And that was the only thing that, I mean, that's not a terrible thing.
It's not bad, but it
just threw me off. It really got me out of it, and really Bella is to thank for getting me back into it, because if Bella hadn't been the character she was and done the things she did, I think this movie would have been really, really hard to swallow. The second half of this movie is really where the gold is, and it's really good.
If you've got some weird hang up on indie film, this film would definitely knock that right out of you, because it's very well done. It's very clean. It looks very professional. It's a great job.
It's different.
Very different. If you're sick of seeing the similar, you're going to like this.
Where different fails.
I think we might be we might be at odds, but not truly.
Maybe.
On this next one.
This is contracted. This is Bryan's film that he assigned for me. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I like. Let's start there.
Let's start with the positive.
Okay, let's start with the plot first off. It's about a young woman who begins bleeding and shedding maggots and hallucinating after a stranger date rapes her at a party. That is exactly accurate about this film. I think that is the exact because it is so just like, oh, okay. At least we didn't get the date rape, although the beginning of the movie really throws you off really badly with I mean, I don't need to ever see necrophilia ever again. Please, let's not go there ever
Let's
again.
never do that again.
But I will say there's a really cool shot in that sequence when he's wheeling the corpse into the thing, and you're seeing it from the corpse's perspective where it closes the door on you. Yeah. I love that shot. That was a really good shot.
It was very, very good. And you know what? I definitely, if you want to look at the sort of the science behind some of this, Roanoke Gaming, another cool channel on YouTube, actually does a very comprehensive video on the science, because there are certain aspects of the science of it, because the zombie virus is is a sexually transmitted disease.
I was thinking, is this going to be a play on bath salts? Is that what we're going to end up with?
I don't think so.
but no, it turned out to be the sexual thing, but which is even worse. But
yeah, I mean, but I'll tell you what.
When he hands her the drink, I thought that was this is bath salts. That's what's going to turn.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Like, Grant, now this film came out in 2013.
I know, which is really weird because this feels like a 90s film.
It does. It looks like a 90s film. It feels like a 90s film. Because here's the thing, even back in 2013, they were saying, hey, be careful of your drinks when you go places.
Yeah.
You know, and so we've been talking a lot on this episode about unlikable characters, unlikable protagonists. Dude, Samantha is not a good person. I mean, when I say what I'm going to say about her, I'm not saying that these particular personality aspects make you a bad person. I'm not. I'm just saying she's not likable. She's extremely codependent. She is,
super pretentious about her work.
Very pretentious about who she is. So Samantha is a young woman who for 8 months has lived a lesbian lifestyle. She's completely codependent on her partner, Nikki, who is also not a good person. Samantha and Nikki are on the outs, so she's living back at home with her mother.
Who's also not a good person.
Who's also not a good person. There are just this movie should be called Horrible People, the movie.
Yeah, who turn into zombies.
Yeah. So basically, and that's when everything starts to go really, really bad.
Yeah.
The movie happens over a course of 3 days, and it's literally, she devolves very, very quickly. It's a very fast-acting virus. This movie tried to be Maggie with Abigail Breslin and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it failed.
This is a tough watch. This is a tough watch for many of the reasons you've already said, but for me, none of it makes sense in the end. They don't explain a fucking thing. They don't explain. I don't know if they take the sequel to go through that. I mean, they barely touch upon who did what to who, and it's just it leaves so much unopen. It doesn't close any doors. It's really
the sequel explains a bit more of the BJ character's motivation. The second movie is actually extremely creepy. I felt. I don't know. This first movie, though, it's original. I give it that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stupidity in behavior. Number one, why would you let someone kiss you when they look like they have the herpes cold sore to end all herpes cold sores festering? Like right here. And I'm sorry. Now, I'm no mortician. I'm no undertaker. But I would like to think that when a body is dying, it's going to have a scent to it.
Yeah.
None of y'all realize that this woman stink. And then the one scene where she infects Riley, bro.
Yeah.
You had to have known something was up.
Yeah.
You had to have smelled something. And then I'm sorry, when the big reveal happens, who do you think you are? Philip from Shaun of the Dead? You ran it under a cold tap? What? No.
Yeah, this movie's riddled with problems. But
this movie shows why the zombie apocalypse becomes a pandemic.
I did enjoy the makeup in this film. I thought that it was really well done. I thought the subtleties of there's one moment when you see her eye kind of turn red and bulk, and I was like, I wonder how they did that. That's really fascinating. That's a really good makeup job right there.
The makeup, her transformation was very well done. It really turned into kind of body horror. It's not a masterpiece, but
it has merit. It has
its merit.
Yeah.
I've seen worse. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say Trigger Happy's worth owning. Little Miss Sociopath's worth seeing.
Contracted. Just watch it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll be saving a seat for you next time, and remember, that's always time to go, Indina. We'll see you guys soon.
Always.